When you picture a river, you probably just see a simple blue line on a map. But in a place like India, rivers are so much more than just geography. They're the lifelines of civilization, each one with an epic story and a totally unique personality. So today we're going to explore the two major river families that have shaped the entire subcontinent.
So, right off the bat, here's the big question we're tackling. How on earth can one single country have two completely different kinds of rivers? You've got one system that's fed by ancient, eternal snows, while the other depends entirely on the monsoon rains. The answer, as you'll see, lies in India's absolutely incredible geography.
Okay, first things first. Let's get a key term out of the way: drainage system. It might sound a bit technical, but it's actually super simple. Think of it like a giant tree. The main river is the trunk, and all the smaller streams and tributaries, those are the branches. They all work together to drain water from a specific area, what we call a drainage basin, and carry it all the way to its final destination, usually an ocean.
Now, India's rivers are basically split into two major groups, and it's all controlled by the landscape. You've got the Himalayan rivers up north and the peninsular rivers down south. And the thing that separates them is a concept called a water divide.
So what exactly is a water divide? Well, it's just a fancy term for a high piece of land, like a mountain or a ridge. The easiest way to picture it is to think about the peak of a roof. Rain that falls on one side flows down that side, and rain on the other side flows down the opposite way. Easy, right? Except, in India, we're not talking about a small hill. We're talking about massive mountain ranges that act as these divides, dictating exactly where every single drop of rain is going to end up.
And here, this lays out the fundamental differences perfectly. On one side, you have the Himalayan rivers. They are perennial, which means they flow all year round. They get this reliable 1-2 punch of monsoon rains and melting glaciers. That's what makes them so long and powerful. On the other side, the peninsular rivers are seasonal. Their entire fate is tied to the monsoon, which makes them shorter, shallower, and much more unpredictable.
So let's meet our first contender, the Himalayan rivers. Now, geologically speaking, these rivers are young, and they totally act like it. They're forceful, just full of energy. And because they're born from the highest mountains in the world, they are always flowing. Their journey is just dramatic. They start way up high in the mountains, carving out these incredible, deep gorges. As they come rushing down, they perform what's called intensive erosion, which is just a way of saying they literally scrape away at the land, carrying tons and tons of silt and sand with them. Then, once they finally hit the flat northern plains, they slow right down, start to curve in these wide loops called meanders, and drop all that rich sediment to build huge, fertile deltas at the coast.
The Ganga is the absolute perfect example of this Himalayan journey. It doesn't start as the massive river we all know. No, it begins as a little stream called the Bhagirathi, born from the ice of the Gangotri Glacier. It only really becomes the Ganga when it merges with another river, the Alaknanda. From there, it descends onto the plains, gathering strength from huge tributaries, and then finishes its epic journey by forming the world's largest delta, the Sundarbans, before finally meeting the sea.
And to put that into perspective for you, 2,500 kilometers, that's about the distance from Paris to Istanbul. This isn't just a river. It's a massive continental-scale system that has literally built and nourished the vast northern plains of India for thousands of years.
Now let's talk about another Himalayan giant, the Brahmaputra. This quote points to something really fascinating. A river's personality can totally change depending on where it is. As it flows through the cold, dry plateau of Tibet, it's a pretty calm river, less water, less silt. But the moment it crosses into the super high rainfall regions of India, bam, it transforms into this raging, powerful force, carrying just enormous amounts of water and sediment.
Okay, let's head south now to our second system, and it is a completely different story. In stark contrast to those young, energetic Himalayan rivers, the peninsular rivers are ancient. They flow through a much older, more weathered landscape, and their entire existence is tied to the rhythm of the seasonal monsoons. The real key to understanding these rivers is this one geographical feature, the Western Ghats. It's this long mountain range that runs all the way down the western coast, and it acts as the main water divide for the entire south. Almost all the major rivers start here and then flow east, right across the plateau.
And this table really shows you the lay of the land. See the trend? Most of the big ones here, like the Godavari, the Krishna, and the Kaveri, they start in the west and flow east across the whole peninsula to empty into the Bay of Bengal. But look closely. There are two major exceptions, the Narmada and the Tapi. These two are unique. They actually flow west, carving their way through these geological faults called rift valleys before they finally reach the Arabian Sea.
Of all the peninsular rivers, the Godavari is the undisputed king. It's the largest in the whole region, and it's so important that it's earned the title Dakshin Ganga, which literally means the Ganga of the south. That name just beautifully captures its cultural and life-sustaining importance.
So, we've seen all the geography, but why does any of this actually matter? Well, it matters because these rivers, both the Himalayan and the peninsular ones, are the absolute backbone of India's economy and the main source of livelihood for hundreds of millions of people.
Their economic role is just immense. First and foremost, you've got agriculture. River water is absolutely essential for irrigating the crops that feed the nation. Beyond farming, these powerful flows are harnessed to generate clean hydroelectric power. And of course, they serve as natural highways, which are vital for transport and navigation.
And hey, it's not just about the rivers, we can't forget about the lakes. They're a really critical part of the whole system. Think of them as natural regulators, soaking up excess water to help prevent floods. They also play a huge role in generating power, supporting all kinds of different ecosystems, and creating these stunning landscapes that bring in a ton of tourism.
But this brings us to a crucial modern reality. Despite their ancient origins and their profound differences, both of these river systems now face the exact same unifying threat: pollution.
The pressure on these rivers is coming from pretty much all sides of modern life. You have industries dumping effluents, growing cities releasing untreated sewage, and farms contributing chemical runoff. I mean, even simple domestic waste often ends up right in the water. Everything we produce eventually funnels its way into these vital river systems.
Now, here's the really crucial point. Rivers actually have an amazing natural ability to clean themselves. They can dilute and break down a certain amount of waste. But the sheer volume of pollution coming from our cities and our industries is now completely overwhelming that natural defense mechanism. The system is it's overloaded and it's failing.
This concern isn't new, by the way. Efforts to clean the rivers have been going on for decades, starting way back with the Ganga Action Plan in 1985 and evolving into broader national programs like the Namami Gange mission. The challenge, however, is still just immense.
And that leaves us with a final thought to chew on. If these two vast, diverse river systems really are the arteries of the nation, carrying life-giving water all across the land, then what happens to the nation itself when those arteries get clogged and sick? Something to think about. Thanks for tuning in.